All right, on page 21. I actually normally start this one right after Christmas, and we get to have a good old fun M&M's lab right after we come back from a break. We did something else this year, and it worked out okay. But what we want to talk about is how to learn something about the whole entire population by studying just a part of it. You know, we can't examine the whole population. Furthermore, if I try to answer a question and I collect data, do I know the shape of that distribution? Do I know that it will be unimodal and symmetric and somewhat normally distributed? No. And you know that all year long, I've just kind of swept that little condition under the rug, and we've just made a huge assumption all the time that we can use z-scores and we can do norm CDFs. So we've made a huge assumption that we're dealing with a normal model, and we don't have proof that we actually are. Well, now we're going to start down the road of learning how to make sure and how to have insurance or whatever that we are actually dealing with a normal model. We're going to do that today with the lab. So what we're going to do is display a distribution of samples, and a distribution meaning a shape, and it's going to be made out of all of your little samples. So today you're going to get 50 M&Ms, and you're going to find the proportion of them that are blue. Besides just learning about this lesson, there are two key things that I want to also have you start paying really close attention to. It is very important that we start paying attention to population versus sample. When we describe something or we're talking about numbers, you need to know if those numbers are for the population or if those numbers are for a sample. And then we also are going to be very careful and talk about the notation of population and sample. Okay? So it's really important that we also, in fact, knowing the difference between population and sample is so important that they each have their own separate types of variables. Okay, and so that's one of the first things we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and go on down here. We're going to end up with a normal model, and we'll talk about that later. And we would expect it to be centered around what the M&M company claims. And so the first thing I want to do is define this letter P. P, for what we're going to do today, is the proportion of all M&Ms that are blue. So is that P a notation of sample or population? Is that P a notation for sample or whole population? Nope. See this word? All M&Ms. P is going to be the proportion of all M&Ms. So that's what's coming off the assembly line, what they are making. Now, P hat is going to be the proportion of your sample that are blue. M&Ms. Now, so today, you're going to get 50 M&Ms, and that's the size of your sample. And then you're going to count the proportion. So you will all get your own P hat, your own sample results, which, unfortunately, what we end up having in this distribution, see, it's different P hats. Now, if the M&M's company says that they put out 20% blue M&Ms, where do you think your samples are going to fall? Are they going to all be 20%?
No, but it's pretty close.
No, but it should be pretty close. You will not necessarily all get 20% because you have a different sample than me because of sampling variability. You have some samples might have a lower proportion of blue, some might have a higher proportion, but this is a distribution that will be filled up with lots of people's samples, and the whole classes and all day long, all my students, I'm collecting all their sample results. All right, now I want to take a few moments and define these symbols very carefully because it's important you understand the notation for all these different things. So here we go. first of all, see this mu right here? What does a mu represent? Good. So that represents a mean, and it is a mean of p hats. So that means the mean of what? Of the sample proportions. So that symbol there, this over here on the left, is the mean of all the sample proportions. For example, that's right here. The center of all of the p hats. Okay? And according to statistical theory, it says the center of all the p hats will be the same thing as the what? Good. It will be the same thing as the true population proportion of whatever we're talking about, in this case, the blue M&Ms. So if the M&Ms company says 20% are blue, then that's where all of your samples should be centered. Okay, now, remember how we just said you get different p hat than me because of sampling variability? Well, we need to know how much can they vary. How much can your sample proportion be different than mine and not be an outlier? What do I need to know to tell if it's an outlier?
It needs to be the standard deviation.
Good. So, because if it's more than 2 standard deviations out, then it's an outlier. So, therefore, I need to know the size of that standard deviation. And that's what this formula is here. So, let's take a look at this. That is a lowercase sigma. That lowercase sigma stands for the standard deviation. And this is the standard deviation of all those sample proportions, okay? So, all of those p hats will vary. And this formula, square root of p times 1 minus p over n, that's telling me how much they will vary. Now, I want to point out to you one very important thing. These p's inside here are the population p. Make sure that when you do the formula, that it's the population p that gets put in right there. Sometimes I make a careless mistake and I put the p hat in there, and that's wrong. So do be careful to try to pay attention to make sure the population p gets in here. Now, what's this n? The number of what? Okay, it's sort of, you're closer. That's not how many samples I get today. It's not the number of blue M&Ms I get. It's the number of items in my sample. So in our case, 50 M&Ms, like our denominator. The number of items in the sample. So like the size of the sample. Sample size. In our case, our sample sizes will be sample size of 50 M&Ms all day long. They all are the same. Okay, so let's put this into action with M&Ms. So real quickly, let me describe, in the sample size, the size of your sample. So the size of our sample is going to be 50. All right, and then after you get your 50 M&Ms, I want you to get your p hat for blue and your p hat for orange. And then you can stop at that point and I will collect data. So let's go ahead now that I've taken all of your samples, and we're going to compute what those values for the mean and standard deviation are, and we'll talk about any outliers we might have gotten. We kind of talked about that a minute ago. But first of all, take a look at this. This is an outdated number of blue. We had a discussion at the beginning of the class that is now supposed to be 20% blue. So down here, that means that the center of all of our samples should be the proportion that the whole entire M&M's company puts out, and that is 20%. But now let's figure out how much our samples are allowed to vary. So that's the standard deviation of our samples. So all of our little samples can be different from each other. Let's see how much different. So I'm going to use the formula. I'm going to square root. What is the value for p that I put in here? 0.2. If the value for p is 0.2, what's 1 minus p? 0.8. And what's the size of our samples that we took? 50. So that number computes to be 0.0567. So because I needed to make it simple on the charts that we looked at earlier, I rounded that to about a 6% standard deviation, by the way, so that my lines could be nice and simple. Okay? So, and then since orange is also 20%, its numbers will be the same. So because of that, we found, let's just kind of draw ourselves a quick little normal model here. It's supposed to be centered at 0.2. How many is 2 standard deviations up?
32.
0.32. So if you have a p hat above 32% blue, you're an outlier.
Oh.
Okay, and let's go down. And so I'm going to subtract away those numbers. And so if you have a sample below 8% blue M&Ms, then you're an outlier. Okay, so we know that you're going to get these different ones in the middle because of sampling variability. It's the far outliers that are the strange ones, and we did not have very many of those. In fact, it looked like 5 all day. All right, let's move on to these next little sections. So now that we can say that we are feeling fairly confident that we got a fairly normal distribution. It was unimodal, somewhat symmetric, and we didn't have very many outliers, so I think it was fairly normally distributed. Let's go ahead and do these problems here. An opinion poll asks a simple random sample of 1,785 adults whether they attended a church or synagogue during the past week. Okay, so listen up. That means this problem, the context of this problem is about the proportion of all adults and this is about the ones who did not attend. Who did not attend a church or synagogue last week. Okay, so let's collect all of our information that we know from this. We know that the sample size that is going to be collected is 1,000. That's a simple random sample of 1,785 adults. We know, we are told that it says, suppose 60% of the adult population did not attend. So does that 60% apply to a sample or to the whole population? That's the whole population. So P, which is where the mean of the P hats should be, is 0.6. Okay? Now, it says, the question is, what's the probability that the sample proportion of those who did not attend is at least 58%? So, what is 58%? It's a sample result, which is a p hat. Okay, so do you see how it's important that we start notating all of these things correctly? So p hat is a sample result of 0.58. And so you do not have to draw this normal model, but essentially here's what's happening. We have a p hat at 0.58, and we want to know the probability it's at least that much. Which direction do I shade if it's at least that much? To the right. So this is the area that I want to know. Okay, in order to do this problem, now what do? I got a norm CDF, so I got to get a z-score first. So z
minus the mean over
x
standard deviation.
X minus the mean over the standard deviation, but we do not have x's yet anymore. We have p hats. So here is how this goes now. You ready? P hat minus the p over the standard deviation of p hats. So it's, look here,
That's a little.
p hats minus the p over the standard deviation of p hats. Okay? Now, I've drilled the other formula into you enough. I've drilled the other formula into you enough that this should start making sense. I do want to point out one thing to you, and it is that this P, I could also call it the mean of P hat, because those are the same things. So I could say P hat minus the mean of P hats over the standard deviation of P hats, but it rolls off the tongue better to just say P hat minus the P, okay? So let's fill in those numbers. Here we go. Z is P hat minus the P over the record scratch. What's the standard deviation of P hats? Ah, we got to solve for it. Okay, so let's come over here and get the square, the standard deviation of the P hats. The formula is up here at the top. True P, which is how much? Okay, 0.6 times 1 minus P, which is 0.4 over the sample size, 1785. That number is 0.0116. And so therefore, my z-score is negative 1.742, I think. Or 24. I can't remember which one it is. Okay. Is it 24? Okay. So there's our, now, so while let's talk about it. Is it reasonable that this P hat is at a negative z-score?
Yeah.
Yes. Why?
Because that's where it needs to be, because it's below the mean.
Because it is below the mean, correct. Because it's to the left of the mean, below the mean, so it's a negative z-score. Okay, so which way am I norm CDFing this? Okay, so negative 1.2 or 724 to 99, that is 0.9577. And so I also have a new notation that I want you to start writing for the answer. And it's really not too terribly new because I think it's intuitive and it makes sense. Okay, you ready? So here's how we write our answers now. Probability that a P hat, the probability that a P hat is greater than or equal to 0.58 is, and then you can write your answer as a decimal or a percentage. I think usually I end up writing it as a percent at this point when we're talking so much about context. But it does, it doesn't matter. Okay? All right. So now we have 3 minutes. Wow. Okay.
Because the story.
I know. Story time killed us.
It's almost
All right. So therefore,
I don't think she heard it.
for homework, I want you guys to just do this problem here, but because the rest of everybody else is doing stuff on pages 27 to 32, but that unfortunately is going to mean you have more to do tomorrow. Okay? So we'll come back and you know what? I tell you what. No homework. We'll start there at that number 2, okay? We'll start there at that number 2 and pick up where we left off tomorrow.
I'll accept it.